When I tell you guys, I have been waiting. And when I mean waiting for this moment. The Charlotte Hornets have finally done it. They have finally done it. Let me get a round of applause. Let me get a round of applause. I want you guys in the comments to say, damn, them Charlotte Hornets, they going to be a Yeah, I better start saying that in the comments because I'm telling you, the Charlotte Hornets are going to be a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference next season. Mark my words. Clip this up. Um, Save it. Be ready. Get the clip ready. Because I will talk. I will bark when the Charlotte Hornets do actually end up being a top 3 seed. Now, for those who are new here, welcome. This channel's name is Spock's Playbook. My name's Spock. And there's 2 teams I love in the NBA. Mainly just one. I love LeBron. He's my favorite player of all time. Say whatever you want. So therefore, I love the Lakers. When he was on the Cavs, I love the Cavs. When he was on the Heat, I love the Heat. I jump ship. Wherever LeBron goes, I go. But I've become a Lakers fan because now that I'm a content creator, in the basketball NBA space, I've come to appreciate the actual team and roster that LeBron is a part of. So I'm a Lakers fan now. Lucky for me, the Lakers fans are the most spoiled basketball organization of all time. We just got Luka Doncic the other, midway into the season, whatever. But if you know me, for those who really do know me, my team that I've been with since 2018, 2019, since Kemba Walker All-Star days, the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets are my team. Now, granted, they get no airtime. I barely ever talk about them because there's nothing really to say. They suck ass. But we're cooking. We are cooking. For those who aren't aware, the Charlotte Hornets have had, to me, the best offseason in the NBA, and it's not particularly close. Now, some of y'all may say, Spock, how can you say that? Nuggets just traded for Cam Johnson and got a backup center for Jokic. Or Spock, the Mavericks just got Cooper Flag and whatever. Or the Atlanta Hawks making their great moves. They also deserve a video. Best believe they will be getting one too. The Charlotte Hornets are finally a competent franchise because they are making greatness in Charlotte. When I look at the roster, it's just filled with talent. From top to bottom, it's filled with talent. And every player, well, most of the players that are currently on the roster all have a purpose. They all do something that is needed from this team. Now, granted, the rosters are full. It's overloaded. There's I think 23 players right now currently on the roster. Well, and the Hornets just did the Colin Sexton trade, which we will get into. So that's 24 players. And for those who don't know, you can only have a max of 15 on the roster. So some guys are going to not make the final roster. It is what it is. But thankfully, a lot of these guys are disposable. For example, we have the Taj Gibsons of the world, the Pat Connaughtons of the world, the KJ Simpsons, so on and so forth. I think you get the gist. For example, in this most recent draft, the Charlotte Hornets with the 4th overall pick drafted Con Knuppel. For those that don't know who Con Knuppel is, he is a do-it-all small forward. He can do a little bit of everything. Now, don't get him confused with a Josh Hart of the world. He's not more of a hustle, doggy, gritty type of player. He's more of a, I could do a little bit of everything. He's a floor raiser for your team. I hope you understand what that is. He brings desperate shooting that this team needed. Reliability, he's not going to be off the court. And he can play defense. And he can even have a secondary playmaking role for this team, which isn't even necessary because this team just re-signed Trey Mann to a 3-year, $24 million contract. Me personally, I'm very high on Trey Mann. Trey Mann has 6th Man of the Year potential. He's just that great. Then we move into the Colin Sexton trade. Beautiful trade. Beautiful, 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 beautiful trade. The Charlotte Hornets were able to get off the disgustingly bad Yusuf Nurkic contract, traded him to Utah, got the way better player in return in Colin Sexton, as well as second round pick draft capital. They got the better player and a pick in return. I don't know what they're cooking in Utah, but it has to be meth because there's no way that trade gets approved. Whatever. Moving on, they were able to draft many projected role players in this draft. They were able to get Liam McNeely with the 29th pick. Newsflash, if you don't know, they were also able to get off the Mark Williams contract. Clearly, they didn't want to extend him. They had fear with his physicals. They were fearing with his, defensive attitude. Like he had that DeAndre Ayton shit. So they were able to get off that contract, get the first round pick in this year's draft class, which ended up being Liam McNeely, and they were able to get a future first round pick in I think 2030, 2029, 2030, something far off. So they were able to get 2 first round picks for Mark Williams, and one of them turned out to be Liam McNeely. Liam McNeely, he did fall considerably in this draft. He was projected to be a lottery pick at the start of the season, and his shot didn't fall in college. But I am still very high on him because at UConn he was taxed. He was overtaxed. They wanted him to do everything. In Charlotte, he will have a fit role. Shoot the ball. He is going to have many wide open opportunities because of the gravity that LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller are going to take. Even players like Colin Sexton, Miles Bridges, this team is stacked with players who can create their own shot. And all these players are plus 3-point shooters themselves. They can shoot off the dribble. They can create shots for other players. And then this team has the Concanupos of the world, the Liam McNeelys of the world, the Steon James of the world that fit their role. They fit their role. Liam McNeely, hit shots, play defense. Concanupo, hit shots, play defense. But don't get it wrong. These aren't just like bums. These are great top tier players. This is top tier talent. And their role is just simplified. Hit wide open shots and play defense, which is all they've done their career. That's how they've gotten to the NBA, by doing that. The Charlotte Hornets are just telling them, keep doing what you need to do. Steon James, a defensive 2-guard. He can play make for the team at Duke. When he was at Duke, he was playmaking for the whole team. And guess what? He's a hound. I comp him to a Davion Mitchell with a little bit more playmaking. We need to see if his defense will get to that level of a Davion Mitchell. And if it does, beautiful. Because we know LaMelo Ball has his deficiencies as a defender. Same with Colin Sexton. And, maybe a little bit with Miles Bridges. It's there. So they brought in a defensive menace at the 2-guard because they desperately needed that. And even, for example, Trey Mann himself, not a plus defender. So they brought in a plus defender at guard. Then they drafted Ryan Kalkbrenner. Big, tall body. Can genuinely develop into something. He has upside. He's a very mixed bag of emotions as a prospect. But all he has to do is protect the rim and get boards. And catch his lobs. Now, will he be able to do that at an elite level? Most likely not. Most likely, he will be long-term a backup center. If he does make the roster, he'll be a backup center for this team. But to have a 7-footer as your backup, just a big body who just needs to do what he needs to do in his spot minutes, That sounds like a great second round pick. That's great value for a second round pick to me. To get somebody who can stay on the floor in the NBA as a second round draft pick, you won that pick. Then moving on, they still have multiple players that haven't really found their role or essence in the NBA yet, but players such as Nick Smith Jr., who they drafted, I'm pretty sure in the second round last year, 2 years ago. He's a secondary ball handler. He kind of has the same role as Trey Mann, just to a lesser degree. I don't know if he makes the roster, but you can never have too many playmakers. Well, you can, but just another playmaker for the team. Tijon Salon, they're basically the project pick. They're Project Giannis. If they can turn him into half of the prospect Giannis is, which is obviously not realistic, Giannis is genuinely one of one talent. But if he could actualize 50% of the potential that they foresee he can have, which is why they drafted him that high last year's draft, and he doesn't have to do too much of nothing. Tijon Salon can genuinely play his role and develop at his own pace, because there's no rush, because the Charlotte Hornets brought an influx of talent this offseason. An influx of talent. So many players that can play on an NBA floor just walked into their locker room this offseason. And even in free agency, they signed Spencer Dinwiddie, another defensive guard who can have playmaking opportunities for whatever. Because we know LaMelo Ball is injury prone. So let's just get 6 guards that can actually play. For little to no, we're not giving up no picks or nothing. We're literally just giving nonsense. For example, in Colin Sexton's case, we're giving up nonsense and we're getting better value. We're signing Spencer Dinwiddie to what? A minimum? Just to do a simplistic job. Then we're acquiring Pat Connaughtons of the world just to get, we absorbed that bad contract. We're getting more draft capital and second round picks from the Milwaukee Bucks. Then we still have players like, what's his name? Josh Green, Josh Okogie. Josh Okogie's a fine veteran. Defensive menace. You know what he did in Phoenix. Josh Green is also a plus defender. Hit his corner shots. This team is built and molded perfectly around LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, where they don't have to do too much or too little. Everyone has their role, and it's very simplified. We need you, play defense. Hey, you, hit shots and play defense. Hey, you, play make, put the offense on your back. But guess what? If you get trapped, if you get blitzed, pass it out to one of these guys. All the players on this court are plus 3-point shooters. And for example, if they run a lineup of, let's say, LaMelo Ball, you can have Con Canupo or Brandon Miller at the 2, then just flip them at the 2 and 3. Miles Bridges at the 4. Your 5 is still to be named. That is the only thing this roster is missing. A trustworthy... No. If they're able... This is my hot take. If they can trade for a top 15-ish center in the league, they will be a genuine playoff threat. The only thing you can have against them is that they're young and they wouldn't have playoff experience. For example, their best player, LaMelo and Brandon Miller, haven't been to the playoffs. And that doesn't matter, because we saw that with OKC last year against the Mavericks. They didn't have playoff experience. They really couldn't get anything done. But if the Charlotte Hornets are able to get a center in this in this offseason, the top 15 center, which they definitely have the assets to acquire that caliber of center. Who it could be, I don't know. There is names that aren't quite top 15 in my head, but can be amplified to that level, playing it with like the LaMelo Balls of the world. such as a Nick Claxton from the Brooklyn Nets, or even a DeMontis Sabonis from the Kings, who is a certified top 10 center, maybe top 5, they can get a center of that magnitude to fill in that empty 5 spot. This team is complete. They have a complete starting 5, and they damn near have a secondary starting 5. That being said, I'm telling you, Charlotte Hornets will be a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference next season, and I'm here for it. Like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts on this vid. Catch you on the next one.